Hey, how's it going? Welcome. Right, we haven't got a name for this yet, and this is just us messing around because we love the game. Hello, I'm Logan Sama.
Hello, I'm Sengan.
That's right. You may have seen us commentating here and there and everywhere. And we're just hanging out here at the Capcom UK offices. Thank you so much to Capcom UK for allowing us to do this in here. We're going to try and make this semi-regular, but today we are here on your screens to talk about what is one of the most exciting things to happen for a long while in the world of Street Fighter 6. And arguably the GOAT of modern Street Fighter. Doesn't make any sense saying that, does it? The greatest of all time of modern Street Fighter.
Of modern Street Fighter, yeah, no.
The most decorated player in modern history of Street Fighter. MenaRD has called out a challenge to Daigo in the first of 10. It'll be going down at Evo Legends Live in Tokyo in a few days from now, a couple of weeks, April 29th.
Oh, so close.
It's happening.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of history behind Daigo and first to 10s.
Yes.
But what we're here today to talk about is just the scale and the weight of this event and what we can expect to see between these two players. So let's go over exactly what's happening. It's Evo Legends Live. It's happening in Kawasaki, in Japan, on the 29th of April. It is a ticketed event, by the way. So as we've seen in Japan, I don't know if you've seen all the live viewing experiences for the SFLs and that kind of thing. It's a ticketed event. You can't just go and buy a ticket, by the way. It's a lottery.
Okay.
Yeah, you win it's like a concert, bruv. Like
that is
big
sick.
things.
That means there's so many people that you can't just know. Well, there's too many.
They're not desperate to sell these tickets. These tickets are hot. The format is, of course, the Kemonomichi format of first to 10.
Yeah.
The rules are character lock.
That's interesting.
Daigo has said it's going to be his final hurrah with Akuma.
Ooh.
And Mena is a man of honor.
Yes.
And I don't know if he's confirmed yet. He may have confirmed at time of publishing, but we're going to assume that he's going to be using Blanka. There's not going to be any character switches once they lock in. So we're going to possibly spend half an hour talking about a matchup that doesn't even happen. But hopefully it'll be a good exploration into the depths of and layers that we can look forward to between a player who is right now one of the most dangerous in the world and a player who has the most composure when it comes to these long-form sets. They call him the Batman of Street Fighter. Yeah, prep time Daigo.
I mean, it makes sense. But yeah, I think he's the GOAT. He stopped everyone's run as well, especially in Street Fighter 4. The other. So I don't want to get too ahead.
It's flowing in perfectly. It's like we're professional broadcasters.
Oh my goodness, it's almost like we know each other, Logan.
Yeah. May have been in front of a camera before. May have done a bit of presenting here and there. I don't know. So Daigo and first to 10s, of course. Now, back in the day, Daigo was renowned for. I believe they started in Mad Catz Unleashed. So famously, Daigo had a couple of Evos where he got wiggity washed.
Yes.
Infiltration.
Yeah.
That infiltration set, by the way, in Street Fighter 4 was a masterclass in preparation. Go and watch that back if you want to see a man be fully downloaded. But what Daigo would do is he would challenge those guys in exhibitions. Now, famously, he cleaned out Sayin 10-0. And then he beat Infiltration as well.
Was Infiltration 10-1? Somewhere in my brain,
I can't remember the exact number,
it was bad.
I know it was a bit. I mean, I think he ran off with like 5 straight at the end of that as well. So it was a beatdown. It wasn't 10-0, but it was a beatdown. And then, of course, subsequently, Takedo challenged Daigo. And that really highlights how things have turned around, because originally this format came around from Daigo being the challenger. He wanted to reclaim his honor and his pride.
Yeah.
Daigo has now become this focal point for players. And let's be honest, Takedo had won big titles, but for him it didn't mean anything until he beat Daigo. And it's really interesting to see Mena feel the same way. He's double Evo Japan champ. He's Evo Vegas champ, reigning. He's won 2 Capcom Cups, which no one else has done. And to him, what really matters is getting this first to 10. This first to 10 Daigo title belt
legacy
is as important to him as a Capcom Cup title and an Evo title.
Yeah.
As a player,
yeah,
that has been like really active, like that kind of mentality.
You want to climb it's not just about climbing to the mountaintop. I think there's a difference between, you see players who will achieve a big win, and then once they've climbed to the mountaintop, they find it hard to climb again. And I think you find this is a key a component in obsession with these super talented competitive players, where they just want to keep the grind of climbing.
And I think obsession is a great word to use, because normal people, they have motivation. And motivation waxes and wanes.
Yes.
It fluctuates, it's fleeting. You know, you might be focused on something for a while, and then your focus moves elsewhere. Maybe you succeed, you secure the bag, and then you move off. You know, some players have done that, right? You know, hello, Uma, wherever you are in the world. Secure the bag, and then your focus goes elsewhere on VTubers or whatever the hell it was that he spent all his money on. The true greats are obsessed.
Yes.
With not just being the best, but staying the best. Mena had you mentioned this as well. Mena had a really interesting career path, because of course he came out 2017, shot the world, won Capcom Cup as a teenager. With not really a story. Yeah, I think he was still 19 years old. He might have only been 17 actually.
Wow,
but he was very fresh. He'd never qualified for Capcom Cup before. I don't think he had the opportunity to qualify to compete on a wider scale internationally. Before that, and even then he was only competing in North America. You know, and he'd spoken about Knuckle helping him travel and be involved in some of the North American events. After that 2017 win, he kind of was hindered by the balance changes. Of course, if you watch that win back, he was doing a lot of things with Birdie that no one was really seeing happen in Japan, and that's something that happens frequently, right, with that character unfamiliarity.
I think that's also why you might see Blanka in a lot of Japanese players' top 5 list, because there's just not. I think Mena has a way of expressing himself in Street Fighter games with characters that are underrepresented or overlooked in a way that just no one can seem to replicate anywhere in the world. And I think you're right. I think after the balance patch in Street Fighter 5, you saw him really struggle to find his footing again and be able to express himself.
He had 2 different approaches, because I remember that was in the period where we were like doing content around it and speaking to him, and he had one approach which was, I'm just going to pick the top tier, you know, and he went that season, he played Seth a lot. He had another approach where it was, I'm going to try and counterpick everybody. And I'm going to play a whole batch of characters, and I'm just going to counterpick you. And neither of those really stuck for him, did they?
No. And I think we started to see the shift when, and again, with obsessive people, I think you have to have great awareness of, especially in competition, of yourself, the field, the level. And I think he realized, I have to do the pilgrimage. I have to go to Japan, and I have to get better. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough to be able to pick. I mean, it's hard enough to main 2 characters, let alone a wealth. But he went to Japan, and credit to him, he worked his tail off to become this version of Mena that we all know as the greatest of all time in modern. You know, if you're going by accolades, there's no one else that compares to him. So I am. That's one thing that I tip. I mean, I tip my hat off to Mena in loads of different ways, but that specifically, having the awareness to say I'm not good enough, is a pill that Street Fighter players and competitive people across all sports find hard to swallow. And you only see the greats being able to ingest that pill and then be able to execute the plan to progress.
I think it's very interesting as well, because he's had so many different approaches to being part of the meta game. Now, we saw him win with Birdie, which is a very similar situation to what he's done with the Blanka, which is a strong character that maybe was not represented enough for people to be overly familiar and to have the experience with players that are of a equivalent caliber to him. So you might have a Blanka in your area, but it ain't Mena. You might have had a Birdie in your region, but he weren't Mena. When he won the second cup, that was with Luke. That was the tippity top tier. You know, and then he's gone back to that kind of left field pick, the Blanka. He was getting the job done with the Blanka. The Blanka got nerfed due to the changes in scaling off lights. That was a significant nerf to Blanka. I know you were using Blanka a bit, weren't you, as well?
Street Fighter 5, yeah. I was.
Didn't you start using them a little bit in 6 as
No,
well?
6 it was Lily, then Ken, now Ed.
Even messing around with him, I swear.
No.
We were in a hotel in Birmingham.
Yeah, and I was
and
picking.
you had your laptop out.
Yeah.
And you were doing stuff with Blanka.
Was I?
Yes, bro.
Maybe I've just erased that out of my brain.
Yes,
Probably.
bro.
I mean, I do a lot of stuff in Training Mode with loads of characters. Maybe I was trying to find specific answers.
Maybe it was just like messing around with him to understand him better.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's back on the Blanka. The Blanka got nerfed. I know he was like vocally a little bit kind of, this character, I don't know if he's it anymore. He experimented with a few others. We saw the Geef come out. The JP came out. A variety of characters that but he's firmly landed back and he's got these big results again with the Blanka. And no one's really doing that.
No.
Is there?
There's no one. There's literally no one who... I think the only person who had a Blanka that we saw, I think it was the last chance qualifier for Capcom Cup. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I think the first Capcom Cup was Problem X's Blanka versus Punk, or I can't remember who it was. I might be getting this horribly wrong. But there is absolutely... There's no one anywhere doing anything with Blanka. Now, I think you're starting to see a lot more Blanka enthusiasts, and what often happens in Street Fighter tournaments in general, once someone's reached the mountaintop with a character, you start seeing people,
yeah, because the roadmap's there. It's like you've chopped your
the
way through the jungle, and now there's a path to go through.
Yeah, you've done all the hard work for me, sir. Thank you. I will
or
steal
even just
everything.
that belief and confidence that it
can be done.
to be done. There's no mental excuse that you can put there. Oh well, I can't win because this character. He did it.
Yeah.
So, So he's locked in with this Blanka pick. He's won the big titles with the character. What is it that is allowing him to continue to get these results with a character that no one else is really seeing the value in?
Yeah.
Even now, after like 3 Evo titles.
I think when I look at it, I think he's got a great understanding of the game. I think there's plenty of footage. There's plenty of technology that's come out around this game and its drive system. Broski, I want to give a shout out to Broski because he does great coverage. Whenever some new technology comes out, he covers it in a YouTube video. I often see he's one of the first people to cover it. And I often see Mena doing specific setups, and I'm like, oh, what is that? I go into training mode and be like, oh, okay, cool, he knows that's the plus 11 or the whatever. We'll get into it later on. But he keeps up to date with technology, so he doesn't allow the game and the way it evolves to get ahead of him. He has to stay on the cusp of that. And then another thing that I've noticed watching his game is he's very, very good at in-game adjustments immediately in situations that people would often overlook, especially with Blanka. You'll see it maybe after drive rushes, on knockdowns, on trades. He'll get hit by something and then he'll immediately have an answer, or he'll shift his focus. If this is where you're playing, if this is where you're throwing multiple looks, I'll shift my focus to this place and I will fight you in this place.
It's interesting because for me, both of those things come under the same subheading for me, and that's knowledge. I think Mena is one of the most knowledgeable and I can go back to Street Fighter 5 early on, and I remember speaking to Mena about characters that I'd never see him use, and he would have an encyclopedic knowledge about these characters. And one of the things that I think is the catalyst for these adaptations that you see him make is that he is making these decisions with the full information at his disposal. He's not just one of these players that is running a single player game. And I feel like when you look at Street Fighter 6, you have the world-class elite, and then you have very, very good players. I feel like the very, very good players are still almost playing a single player game where they have a game plan. And they are trying to see if their stuff works. And I feel like Street Fighter 6 built mechanically rewards that a lot, actually. Drive rush, initiate, I'll put you in a thing. Is it going to work? Does it, are you teching here? And you make your adaptations based on what their responses to your general questions are. But it's not really it's not a two-way conversation.
No.
When you watch the elite players in the world, they're having a two-way conversation. And it's like, Mena is fluent in your language and his.
And
when he clocks that you don't know what he's saying,
yes, bruv,
the screw gets tightened.
Yes, bro. What?
Oh, you don't know what this is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm running it.
Yes.
I'm running it again. Yeah, I think that's a great shout. I think the game, in a generic term, I think it gets overlooked how deep and how layered this game is, and I think you're starting to see it so much more in Japan and East Asian spaces. I'm starting to see players do so, and I think it started with Lashar. I could be wrong, but I didn't see anyone else playing this type of style until I saw Lashar playing it. They're doing one tap nothing a lot in East Asia. A lot of the Western players are doing chain strings, or I'm going to do my push out string, I'm going to do double jab, walk in, grab. I think there is, because you've got a game which you have so much access to high damage immediately with the drive system, it's so, you can gain so much information off of a one tap and then seeing how you respond. Do you walk back? That opens up the low. Did you press back immediately? Okay, cool, then maybe I can run my strings. If you're delaying, and we're doing this little tap back mind game, okay, now I can, there's certain spacing traps that you can do with hurtbox spacing traps with stand fierce, and I see it a lot with Kens. They'll do double jab and they'll do a walk back stand fierce at specific timing to punish counter your whiff jab.
Yes.
So it's all of these, I need to delete these players' flowchart. And I think you're right when you say a lot of players at the high tier have a specific flowchart that they're not aware of yet because it's worked so well for them in the majority of tournaments.
And they might feel like they're playing an adaptive style, but really... And that's the value of tape. But we'll get into this as well because I want to talk about tape and the value of tape a bit later on. Both of these players actually, like Mena, it's very hard to find a lot of. He doesn't play in online tournaments. Daigo said he's like reclusing himself from, you know, the online exposure. Very, very valuable, and we'll talk about that as we get into the specifics of this matchup. Let's talk about Daigo though, because he is without a doubt the biggest profile player in the history of fighting games in general. I would say, I think that's fair to say. In Street Fighter, you would look at him as a player that has been at the elite level across almost every iteration of the game. He's been at least, maybe not at the top of the pile, but he's certainly been there and thereabouts for so long. And for so many different titles that he just has that tenure. You know, you have to give him the respect.
The Godfather.
And he has been able to build this reputation of himself wherein he is viewed as the Batman of Street Fighter. You give him the prep time and he can do anything. Maybe you'll catch him off guard in a tournament, in a bracket, but
with prep,
when he preps for you, then it's a different Daigo. What is it you think about Daigo in Street Fighter 6 that maybe hasn't given him the tournament results though?
I think Daigo is playing, from what I've seen, I think it feels like Daigo is playing based off of his fundamental wealth of just Street Fighter fundamentals over the years. I think he has a good understanding of footsies and foundations. I think the reason why we're not seeing the tournament wins the same that you see with other players that are his counterparts is I don't think he understands, from what I've seen. Again, I want to be very respectful for Daigo because he's an incredible player. I'm nowhere near his level, but from what I've seen compared to Mena and Daigo, the type of nuances in the game, the technology in the game when it comes to knowledge, I don't think he's studied that as much as Mena. So I don't think he has the plus 11 option select. I don't think he understands the drive system. I don't think, just quickly to talk about the drive system and the technology, for those of you who don't know, Drive Rush freezes the screen for 10 frames. And I think you're starting to see a lot of players utilizing that Drive Rush screen freeze to add an extra depth, whether it be on someone's wake up, whether it be in defensive situations, where they can add in option selects or add in things that allow you to see what the other player is doing and react accordingly. One example is Mickey versus Mena, where I saw Mickey several times drive rush at Mena after a block string or after a specific push out, and Mena responded to the drive rush with Blanka ball, and every time, or it felt like every time, Mickey DI'd. Now for me, that happened so many times during the set that I was like, this has to be intentional, this has to be on purpose. And when I sat down and slowed the game down, I was like, right, he is drive rushing and intentionally looking at the other character's animation, which is something that's not, I've never heard anyone discuss that outside of, you know, top players talking to each other. It's not been discussed in tournaments, it's not been discussed online that much. And that just shows you at the rapid pace that the game, because that was last Capcom Cup.
Yeah, only a couple weeks.
Couple weeks, yeah. So I think that's where Daigo is not as strong as people are used to seeing. I think.
So you feel like it's a knowledge gap?
I think it's the game knowledge specifically. Yeah. I think it's the system gap with Daigo over fundamentals, footsies, movement.
I guess you could kind of equate it maybe to playing poker, where you're playing against someone who knows all the outs and the percentages based on their cards and what cards are in the middle, and they know all that information, and you're just playing like heads up, psychological, you know, fundamental.
Yes.
But you don't know what the risk reward is in every situation, and you don't know you're kind of gambling without knowing what the odds are.
Well, you brought up a really good. We were speaking about this a few weeks back, and you brought up a really good analogy with chess. I don't know if you recall.
My nuggets of wisdom just sprinkled around.
It was you were explaining how in chess there are lines, there are certain openings,
play lines,
expected play lines, and you can play very well inside the expected play lines. And I feel like Mena is someone who doesn't play the traditional play lines.
So it's like you know that you're not playing by the book. Like it's not that wasn't the book move. And Mena is good at introducing that kind of variance. Daigo though is probably one of the very best at not playing expected lines. I mean, I was there in person at NCR watching Daigo play Problem X with Guile in Street Fighter V, and he just walked at him.
Yeah.
I was there at DreamHack many years ago watching Daigo DP on Gamer B's Wake Up.
Yeah.
In his face.
Yeah.
Multiple times in a row.
Yeah.
So, you know, he is very good at throwing the rules out. But I guess in Street Fighter 6, you're saying maybe he is not as well versed in the rules.
Yes.
As someone like Mena, who
to be
is,
able to throw it out.
You know, and I think, you know, you brought up Lashar. I would give credit to Angry Bird and Big Bird as well. In the early days of Street Fighter 6,
100%.
really kind of getting to grips with what the game engine is, because a lot of players have a way that they like to win. I have this play style that I want to play, and I want to win playing like this. Whereas the great fighting game players understand what the win condition is of the game that you're playing, and they adapt to be within that. And that's why you will see some players at the top of the game, whether it's Third Strike, Super Turbo, Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5, Street Fighter 6, and they will be at the top at Street Fighter 7 as well. And we will have new names join us, like we have, you know, this time round. You know, the Blazes, the Crimes, the Hinaus. Before that, we had the Ending Walkers join us in Street Fighter 5.
Kakaroo.
The
Kakaroo was in 5, but 6
exactly.
Is,
So these players will come and stay and you know, adapt, and they'll play within the framework, and they'll be maybe when you do get older, you do get a bit more stubborn, and you just want to play. I don't know if that's the case, and that's what makes this first attempt very exciting, because is Daigo going to just play how he wants to play, or is he going to come back and wake up in the Matrix and know Kung Fu? Is it going to be downloaded into his brain?
I think the benefit and the brokenness that it is being in Japan and being a person of Daigo's stature is you have a wealth of knowledge around you.
Yeah, I guess he doesn't have a short list of names that he can call on.
Teach me, what is it about this game that I'm not understanding? Where are my weaknesses? And I recall watching an Evo docu or Evo episode on Lashar, and even in that interview, Lashar was saying he would almost get to the top and he would, lose. And then speaking to Daigo, he mentioned Daigo's name and I think a couple of others, they were like, oh, you don't use feints enough in your gameplay, you don't throw out a whiff jab or whatever to scare the opponent.
Are they reacting to your thing or are they reacting to anything?
Yeah.
And you have to,
I think
work that out.
The culture in Japan is that, from what I've seen since 4, is a sharing of wealth, a sharing of knowledge.
Especially within that team.
Yes.
Right? Because you look at that reject setup, you've got, obviously the top 4, which is going to be Takedo, Fudo, Lashar, and then Daigo's obviously on the roster as well, but they got more players under them. They got players adjacent, in the Middle East with Big Bird and Angry Bird.
Yeah.
But they have got all these players in the community that will come together, and you've seen that. They go to a big event in the USA or Europe or whatever, and they'll lose, and then literally they'll all fly back, and there'll be the stream where there's 6 of them all in the room together. They're streaming on Topanga or whatever they're streaming on, and they'll all be there trying to work out this character together. That is certainly like the stereotypical view of the Japanese community. Let's talk now a little bit about the character matchup, because we've spoken at length about the 2 players and their strengths and their histories. Blanka versus Akuma. So on paper, it's accepted that it's an awkward match for Akuma, but the aerial approach is also awkward for Blanka. Like, I know you've watched and studied and made copious notes about these matchups that we've seen in recent history, maybe not the most recent patch, but going back maybe to last season and a couple. How does it look? And of course we have the Mena Daigo match at SFL to go on. You've got the Angry Bird and Mena match to look at as well.
Plenty of Mena versus Akumas. I actually think Shoto's do well versus Blanka.
Interesting. Why is that?
Because I think, first off, it's the fireball, especially Akuma's fireball. His heavy fireball is super fast. Mainly it's because of Blanka's walk speed. Blanka has a very slow walk speed compared to Akuma, which is one of the best walk speeds in the game. So Akuma and Shoto's in general with the fireball get to really dictate what happens in the crouching medium kick range, right? And I've seen Mena have to rely on command normals that move forward in order to encroach on that space. Stand medium kicks. You see crouch heavy punches.
Crouch heavy punch is a big one, right?
Is a big one.
Does control a similar sort of space, and it does inherently have a similar sort of risk to a fireball. Jump. And I think if your character is reliant on heavy punches to play neutral or heavy buttons to play neutral, I just feel like you're at a disadvantage. It tells me that you're not able to have the blessing that it is to have a walk up jab, a walk up light. Now Blanka has some other tools like the Blanka balls, a very fast drive rush. He's got normals like heavy kick and back medium kick, which have retracting hurt boxes. And are actually decent anti-airs in certain different spaces.
100%.
As well.
Yeah, very good anti-airs.
Speaking about anti-airs as well, he's got a lot of air-to-air options.
Yes.
Of course, the jump back OD ball, which kind of you can give Mena the credit for kind of pioneering that.
Yeah, bringing that to the surface. I think you just give him the credit for Blanka in general. But I think Akuma has more options and flexibility.
So this is what I wanted to ask you about, because you can talk about Shoto's, but Akuma's toolbox is so much more expansive. Obviously at the expense of a bit of health.
Yes.
But he has so many more options. How do they set him apart from other Shotos in terms of this matchup?
I think the demon flip is crucial. Being able to change the aerial approach is strong in any street fighting game. And the fact that Akuma gets big reward off of it, and I think you'd see that if you went and watched the Angry Bird versus Mena set. That's something that Angry Bird relied on in his game plan. Now, Mena, of course, knows the answers to this, but I think just from an Akuma's perspective, that is one that he has over the other Shotos. The walk speed is what he has over other Shotos. The normal range with forward heavy punches, stand roundhouse, and walk speed. I think walk speed is everything. It's super, super key.
His Oki is incredible. Looping. He's got frame-tight strings into fireball to push you back at a range to then extract information, what you're doing in that situation what else has he got? The ability to cash out, damage that is probably not the same as Ryu, but still
high,
very high. Should he wish to spend?
And he's recently been buffed, so you could argue that he's doing even more damage now. I think they buffed the Fireball where he can. I think his teleport is more frame advantage on the Fireball. Forgive me for not knowing off the top of my head, and also the ability to combo into DP. I think after certain knockdowns like medium tatsus, he's got access to bigger damage in more
the mid-screen
common
More
situations.
reliable,
more reliable. So yeah, that's why I would say Akuma has the favourable approach in this.
What are the big danger points then that they're going to be looking out for? I haven't gone through these matches.
That Daigo would be looking at.
Let's look at it both ways.
Yeah. So I think for if I'm Daigo, I need to be careful of level 2 from Mena. I have to understand the delay timing I need specifically to call out OD air ball. Now, of course, Mena can change the timing, but I at least need to have that covered, both off of a block drive rush normal and off of Oki, a knockdown. I have to understand and be aware of crouching medium punches hitbox range, because Blanka's crouching medium punch is why a lot of, I think, why they place him so highly. His crouching medium punch goes further than so many anyone else's crouching medium punch. It has a huge hitbox on it, which means that spacing traps that you'd normally set up that work against 99% of the cast don't work against Blanka because of that medium punch. I have to be aware of command grabs. I have to be aware of slide. My spacing on my Hados is very important, and I think this is a potential downfall for Daigo, or a weakness of Daigo. He's so confident and so pristine in his fireball spacing that he's going to have to do it at the range that isn't the typical good space.
So
for
I mean,
a fireball.
you can see that in the set that they played in the SFL World Championships, where Daigo, threw a fireball half screen away. Mena in his sleep just slid underneath
so
it.
quick.
That fireball as a poke is something that you kind of have to use for Akuma and Ken, of course, as well, wherein you want to be walking to a range that is uncomfortable for both of you. It's uncomfortable for you to throw a fireball, but it's uncomfortable for them to come inside that range where they can't reliably jump you. And they're kind of thinking about playing footsies, and that's what the strength of that fireball is. It's an attack that stops you from being able to play comfortable footsies. And I think if you go back and do watch the Daigo and Mena set, and of course the Angry Bird and Mena set, you can see how that fireball has strengths and weaknesses. You start to then see Mena looking to parry the fireball, but that means that his focus is not on other things. And I think that is the most important thing about Street Fighter 6. It's like, well, here's the answer to this, and if he does this, but he can do that, you have to sort of hold the hand of your opponent and then lead them into focusing on certain things without them realizing that you're making them. And if you can be the person that leads the dance, if you're the person that's asking the questions and they're the one that has to give you the answer on demand, otherwise they lose, that's a win condition anyway, right?
100%.
That's how this game is kind of built, where if you're the person leading the conversation, then generally you're in an advantageous position. Now, that doesn't mean you're always going to win, because the nature of the game is that the tables can turn very quickly. But when you see people doing things that they have to look out for, and they have to really be thinking about it, inside that footsie, reactive parrying to a fireball with inside that space is not something you can do thoughtlessly.
No.
In the same way as checking drive rushes. You can't do that thoughtlessly. You have to be checking for it. It means that you can then obviously be caught out by things like Blanka doing the stop short into stand light kick, and then whiff punishes you, changing his timings up. Getting away with other things. He starts to walk into that space. If you're looking to check a drive rush, you're not throwing fireballs, and he can start walking at you again. And that's the magical roundabout, the carousel of options.
Magical roundabout.
That Street Fighter 6 is, and it's like, oh, well, if he does this and that. Well, the great players are the ones that know, and this is what makes Mena superb. He knows what the play line should be. If I do this, and you know what I'm doing, you should stop it by doing this. If you don't know how to stop it, okay, I'll carry on doing it.
Happy days, yeah.
If you do stop it, okay, I've got my change up is this.
Yeah.
To stop your reaction to me.
Yeah.
I also know what your change up should be as well.
To stop,
And he kind of looks psychic in that way. But you're not. It's just you know what the options are, and that's why knowledge is so powerful in Street Fighter 6.
Man, it's everything. And I think this goes back to what I was saying about the one-tap play style that I've noticed the East Asian players doing. Because this game has so many different options, because this game has so many different answers, you have to be willing to, even if I see your response to this thing once, I have to build a case study in this very short 2-round game to understand what's your more go-to. What's your you go to X more than you go to Y more than you go to Z, because the risk that I take for choosing the wrong answer is too great. It can lead to too much of a momentum snowball. So I have to take my time. I have to respect you. I have to take my time. Are you even aware that I'm putting this question to you? And I think this is where I'm interested to see how these two titans will go up against each other in a long format. Now, we touched on Akuma. I just want to quickly go over to Blanka and what Mena needs to look for.
Well, let's do this because we've got this in subheadings.
Oh, beautiful.
This is actually the next thing that I want to come on to.
Talk to me.
Which is Mena versus Akuma.
Yes.
You know, there's enough tape out there to look at how Mena generally approaches this matchup. Various different styles of Akuma. Daigo is much more ground-based. Angry Bird willing to take to the skies because he knows that the demon flip introduces a degree of variance that Blanka can't always reliably counter. As you said, the air fireball will just completely blow up the back medium kick or the roundhouse anti-air options. And then obviously the late dive kicks, the early dive kicks, everything there, the fast fall to bait things out as well. What have you noticed in terms of Mena going up against the Akumas?
His adjustments to Demon Flip. I think you see it a lot in the Angry Bird set. His understanding of spacing, his understanding of he walks back and whiff punishes. Akuma's doing flowcharty stand heavy punch, delay stand heavy punches a lot. He walks back and whiff punishes when they try to do a specific spacing trap where they go into adamant fist and he's ready to punish on demand. I think it's his adjustment that is super keen. And then once he has the Akuma in the corner, he's very, very good at creating those dead traps that you spoke about, that dead space where the Akuma feels it's safe to do a jump when it's not, because I've got up ball or I've got jump medium punch into ball. I think that's his strength, and I think it's his strength that he's traveled and entered so many different tournaments, be it invitational or sign up and play, that he has a wealth of different Akumas. I think this game, more than any Street Fighter game, you can't learn the matchup playing one person. You have to face Akumas from this country, that country, that country, this person, to get a familiarity of the different responses that players rely on in specific situations, to be able to build that database, to be able to have those flashcards and test yourself so that immediately you're ready with the response. Oh, you're that type of Akuma that likes to rely on this game style. Once I shut this down, and I will shut it down, what are you then? What do you go to then? Are you even aware that this is a habit that you have? Okay, you switch to, now you're doing more drive rushes. I know the answer to that. I can switch because I've played an NL, I've played an Angry Bird, I've played a Daigo. So I think Mena has the blessing of being a champion and putting his title on the line consistently for so many years, that he's got the wealth of knowledge that we spoke about earlier. He tends to do well versus Akumas, and anytime I've seen him lose a set versus an Akuma, they run it back. It's a beatdown.
Have you got any specifics?
NL, I believe NL, although I think it was a close set the first time in Street Fighter League US, I think NL took it 3-2, but I think NL took an early lead. But I do remember when Mena faced NL again, it was a beatdown. It was a wash. And Mena looked very comfortable. He looked like he understood what NL was on. He understood where to stand and where to sit. And because he understood all of that, he was able to set these dead traps and punish him heavy for it. Now, this is another beauty of MenaRD, that once he smells, and this is I think where the ball comes from, once he smells fear, once he smells you're uncomfortable, once he realizes that he's taken you into deep waters and you don't know what the hell's going on, that's when you start seeing Mena be quote-unquote disrespectful. Not in a way where he's disrespecting you, but he's taking so many more liberties that he's pressing behind his minuses, he's doing a long committal walks, or he's looking for something so specific, so niche, and he's punishing it so heavy that he knew you were going to do that 10 minutes before you knew you were going to do that. So yeah, I think Mena, if you look at it if you're the bookies, he's the favourite to win.
I don't think that's like a hot take.
No, I don't think it is at all. However, I think everyone just respects the fact that we've seen this happen before with Daigo, when he faced Sayin, when he faced Infiltration. When he beat them, they were the undoubted prime.
But you have to remember that was Daigo challenging them.
Yes, it wasn't the other way around.
A very different dynamic and a different Daigo. Let's talk about Daigo though as well, because we have much less data to go on in this one, which is Daigo up against Blanka's.
Yeah.
There's not a lot to go on in there. We're going to have a look at, I guess, the set that he played against Mena and kind of see where he ended up losing it. He started off tremendously, drive rush check immediately off the bat into the full counter hit combo. And he seemed to be doing very well on the ground, but he just didn't have additional layers to his approach to that matchup, did he?
No, and I felt like if I recall it correctly, I think it was in the first game, he successfully baited out a level 1 from Mena and messed up the punish. That would have won him the first game.
That's
he would have taken a 1-0 lead. From that moment, it felt like it completely shifted. It felt like...
He seemed to not have his punishes down as well, because there's another moment in there where he baits out the OD up ball with the teleport grab.
Yes.
Which, the difference between the OD up ball, that's a 70 frame reversal. Most of us are like 67, 68 for OD DPs. So that's actually a 4-frame punish for Akuma. And you kind of saw him just not hit anything. But that's the light punish is very different. He didn't even, I don't think he even didn't, like, was he blocked, right? He blocked the light punch.
He didn't do anything.
So he just wasn't ready for the timing of it or what have you.
The light punch didn't come out. He did nothing for ages.
Yeah, and then it was just a block.
And then it came, much later on down the line. So, sorry, continue.
So perhaps that might be a room for where Daigo can get a little bit more in his favour, where you can see that he's just not familiar in terms of muscle memory and execution of these situations. The reads were correct, but you weren't able to close out in that moment. And I think that might be something that is, maybe hindering Daigo in general across his tournament experience at the moment, where he's not putting himself in the fires in the same way that your Lashars are and your Fudos are and your Blazes and even like your Xiaohais. They're traveling everywhere, everything, on competing, on qualifying. Daigo picks and chooses his events. He's happy to stay at home and stream.
Which is why this is so exciting. I think this is why it's created so much of a buzz, because everyone's anticipating what form of Daigo are we going to get at this event. Are we going to see a leveling up of Daigo, and maybe this is the introduction of Daigo into Street Fighter 6. We've seen it before in 4 and 5. There are sometimes with balance changes and patches where you see a version of Daigo that isn't the version that we're used to seeing, and all it takes is one event, one tournament win, one grand finals where the cogs have turned enough and it's clicked for him, and now he's on form.
I think if you look at Daigo's career as well, in terms of modern Street Fighter, so since 4, I can't speak for before then because I was not personally like hands-on involved.
Thank God you can't, because neither can I.
Until then, I know he wasn't one of the top, Evo moment 37 notwithstanding, he wasn't one of the top names in Japan for Third Strike. I know he was a champion in Guilty Gear titles. But in terms of watching him in Street Fighter 4 and 5, he has like a history of being a slow starter, wherein I remember him switching to Evo Ryu.
Yes.
It took him a while.
Yes.
Like he drowned at Evo that year.
Yeah.
He got clarted by John Choi.
Yeah.
he didn't make it far at Evo that year, and it took him a while. And if you remember, towards the end of life of Street Fighter 4, that Evo Ryu was a terror.
Yeah.
You go back to Street Fighter 5 and you look at the start, and you know he wasn't the guy with Ryu. Like Tokido beat him, I think, at Rebel Kumite. You know, he wasn't putting in the results, and then kind of built himself back up again and became more of a fearful presence. But he's not really hit that point yet in Street Fighter 6 where he is the feared name, or one of the most feared. So I feel like in terms of this event, he has the most room for improvement. Like, Mena's already here.
Yeah.
There's not more room for Mena to grow.
Yeah.
Daigo, you don't know where he's going to be. You don't know
where his ceiling is,
Because, like, he's here right now, let's be honest, in terms of Mena.
Yeah.
You know, Mena's getting the big championships. The chips
of course. I think you can see
in his corner.
Yeah.
Daigo's got a lot of room for growth, and we don't know because he's reclused himself. He's not streaming as much, not doing as much out there. We can't see what's going to turn up. It's going to be very, very exciting. We're talking about reclusing themselves, and we can't see what's going on. Like, what kind of things are we not going to see that are in the tapes? You know, we're trying to study the tapes and how important that is, because not only the knowledge of what the situations are, but the knowledge of what maybe players subconsciously are reverting to. You mentioned this earlier on in the show. We were talking about some of the best players in the world, not the world elite, but the best players might not even realize they have a flowchart. They have a win condition that actually is a flowchart, and they don't realize it. Everyone has tells. Everyone has patterns, to go back to the poker analogy. Everyone has a tell. Everyone has, you know, go-tos, and especially when you're put under pressure and you have to respond in fractions of a second, literally 1/60th of a second we're dealing with here in fighting games. People are going to revert to choices and decisions that are at the forefront of their mind. Having that knowledge of what are your habits? What do you do in this situation? What do you do in this situation? How do you close out? What have we noticed in terms of these players' habits? Watching them back, and then coming into this, do you think they're going to be playing really out of the bag? Can you play out of the bag in a first to 10?
I believe you can, but it starts with playing in the bag.
It's got to be hard, though, right, to stretch it that long. I know playing out the bag in a first to 2, he played completely different that day. I weren't ready for it. In a first to 10, that's a long set.
You're going to see, eventually the game's going to slow down. Everyone's going to know what everyone's on, and it's going to be these little minute changes. I think
like habits, patterns.
Habits, patterns.
Got a few.
I think for Daigo, he's like you said, we've got a wealth of tournament footage, which is very important. It's very easy to sit and watch CFN data, but you have no idea if they're just mucking about or testing something. But you've got a wealth of Mena in tournament and the decisions that they make when they're under pressure, when they have no life, when they've got full life. I think Daigo's going to be keying in on that. I think Daigo is going to be keying on knockdown frames, specifically Blanka's knockdown frames. After ODDP, after B&Bs, how plus are you? How are you negative? What's the setups that you like to go for and run? Because there are, setups where you could be plus, but I know you can't walk back shimmy here because your walk speed's not fast enough, so it's safer for me to do. It's not insane for me to do a wake up instant throw in this situation because of this specific knockdown. So I think that's what Daigo looks into. He looks to understand the rules of Blanka, Akuma Blanka. Once he understands the rules of Akuma Blanka, I think it's his job to get Mena to play by those rules. And then once they're playing on the same field, I think then he draws on his wealth of knowledge over time to get Mena uncomfortable.
That fundamental heads-up play.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about fundamentals in terms of throwing fireballs and DP anti-airing. I'm talking about sitting next to somebody and playing them psychologically. I've had this conversation with Ryan Hart loads of times, and he's probably got more experience than anybody in the world in terms of that. But that heads-up, understanding not how to beat the character, how to beat the player next to you. That's very different. You know? And that's, I guess, how you can win disadvantageous matchups. You know, you're not playing by the book. You know how to break the rule. You know what the rules are, and then you know how to break those rules and make it in your favor.
And I think this is why Mena has challenged Daigo. I think Mena has gotten to the mountaintop so many times that he wants to see how further can I push this ceiling, and I think Daigo is the perfect candidate to do that in a long set. I think when I look at Mena's losses, a weakness that I've seen sometimes is when things aren't going hunky-dory for him, when it is a bit more tighter. I've seen him overextend to try and get a kill or to try and close out the set.
He's very eager to close out.
Yes.
He's very action heavy, like APM, actions per minute. He's very active as a player in general.
In general, yeah.
And we were speaking about that, weren't we, in terms of defense as well. He's very active.
Yes. And you can punish activity heavily. The OD Blanka balls,
knowledge needed,
but that's knowledge needed, which means that's reps needed. I need to drill this so many times in training mode. I need to be faced with this scenario so many times in games and sets that I'm no longer trying to think, oh, what's the answer for this? It's built in.
Yeah, I'm just recognizing it's happened and I'm executing the answer to it because 100%. I know what's going on there.
So if I'm Mena, I think this is going to be a great test of discipline. How calm can I be once I'm dragged into deep waters? It's all good being the top at the top and dragging people into deep waters. You have to be willing and able to swim once you're dragged in yourself, and I think that's the difference you see.
I think that's what he's hoping for, though, right? Like he wants to be dragged down,
which is crazy
because he wants to know what room is there for me to grow.
Yes,
you know, like he's had that great rivalry. You know, with Punk in terms of them both being at the top of their game and meeting up against each other and testing each other to the absolute limits at that capacity of competitive skill. But I think in Daigo, he sees something different, like an elder god almost, you know, like you've got this level of experience, this psychological play that cannot be learned in a career that spans 10 years. He's going 20 into the 3 decades of playing these games. It's going to be very exciting. We're going to do some predictions.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
That means we're going to have to put them on the screen, and you can screen cap it and tag us when we're wildly wrong. My heart of hearts, I want to see Daigo run up a good score, but I don't see Daigo winning this.
Okay.
Even if he comes out and it's a new Daigo that we've never seen.
Yeah.
I still think just Mena's the GOAT of modern Street Fighter. And he's like, he wants a challenge, but I still think he's going to overcome the challenge, you know? Daigo, I would love to see run up like a 10-7, 10-8. You know, everyone is really impressed by how he performs. He takes that away, and we see the galvanized Daigo show at tournament again, and qualify for the cups again, and you know, start making those top fours, those grand finals, because he's ready now. But I can't see a way that Mena doesn't win, even if it is the best Daigo we've ever seen in Street Fighter 6.
Yeah, I think that is a safe bet. I think that is.
Do you think it's going to be close, or is it going to be a wash?
I actually think, at first I thought it was going to be a wash either way. But the more I think about it and the more I look at both of these players in the matchup, I think it's going to be a really close set.
Okay.
I think it's going to be an intense
That's going to be
set.
great for everybody involved.
Yeah, that's what everyone wants. I honestly think it's going to be close. I think at least we're going to get, you know, both players are going to get to 6.
Okay.
And I actually think, and you know, this could be biased just because of you know, since a 17-year-old seeing Daigo play, I think Daigo is going to take this over Mena. I think it's going to be a tall, very hard task. I think, and the reason why, let me explain why, Logan. Let me explain why. I think because of the amount of footage there is of Mena, the amount of high-level tournament experience it is. We've seen him dismantled before. I mean, I go to straight away ending Walker versus Mena.
Yeah.
I think it was EWC.
It was, yeah, that's right.
And he beat him 5-0, and I think that was just after Mena won Evo? He won a massive event, and ending Walker immediately put a stop to that. And I think because of the wealth of knowledge that he has around him, in your Fudos, your Lashars, your Taquitos, your Bonchans. I just think Daigo has all of the data. He's got all of this blueprint, all of this footage that he gets to analyze. I don't think Mena has that. You don't get that. Like, he can go and study for Daigo, but I don't think the type of Daigo that's going to turn up at Kemonomichi is going to be the person he studied for, which means that Mena's got an even taller task of figuring out this Super Saiyan Daigo on the fly. And I think that lends in a longer set into Daigo's hands rather than into Mena's hands.
I feel the opposite way in terms of a longer set. I think the longer it goes on, the data Mena will have.
Will be, yeah.
You know, he'll see what Daigo's on.
Yeah, and be able to.
If Daigo gets to 6 games and Mena's lost 6 games against this Daigo's going to have to be pulling a lot of stuff out the bag to win 6 games against Mena anyway. Yeah. I feel like that will be enough data for Mena, and I've seen him adapt. You know, he ain't going to be flustered. Like, he loses games against Daigo, he's going to be smiling. Yeah. Put a smile on him. You know, he used the Super Saiyan reference, but like Mena to me is definitely Goku. Like, he wants to go and get punched up. Oh, you're a challenge for me. Sick. He's insane. That's what I'm here for. He's insane. Yeah, the universe could get deleted, but I'm getting a good fight out of this. Yeah. And I think that's what Mena's on, you know? Like, Mena is on rising to the challenge.
I think for me, for Daigo, it's, sorry to cut you off, I think it's, and to quote Pat Riley, you can be behind the scenes working, putting in the time, or you can be behind the scenes working, putting in the work. It all depends on how hard Daigo is working behind the scenes.
Exactly. We're going to leave it there. I hope you've enjoyed it. Daigo is the great unknown quantity. Mena is possibly the greatest of all time when it comes to Street Fighter. We're going to find out. It's going to be April 29th. Evo Legends Live. Cannot wait for it. Sengan, thank you very much.
Thank you, Logan. This has been a pleasure.
First of hopefully many. I hope you guys have enjoyed it as well. Give us your predictions down in the comments and let us know who you think is going to take it. Is it going to be Batman Umehara? Or is it going to be MenaRD, the GOAT? Let us know. We'll see you next time. Take care. Thanks very much.